Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Let me just do a quick audio check. Make sure. Hello, hello. Good morning. All right. It sounds like I am good to go. All right. Bam, bam. All right, right. See that camera? Good. In the light box. All right. All right. So as you can see over here, okay, we're going to talk about the back of hats. So I have a cutout of the backside of a dad hat. Okay, so we're going to analyze. We're going to see little kind of minor details that we want to talk about when we're talking about the back of hats. All right, so let's see. All right, so look, it's looking pretty good here in the light box. I got the light box right here. You see? So very convenient for me to just show you. All right, so I got this light box. Started using it last week, and I'm loving it so far. So I'm planning to do a full review, product shoots, product photography, because I've shot hats and I've shot flats also, so flat type of embroidery stuff. All right. So we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about the back of hats. Okay. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. Okay. The back of hats can be a little tricky. All right. So right here, I got the back of a hat. I don't know if you can read it, but I am gonna zoom in when I put it into the into the light box. All right. I don't know if you can see what it is, right, from like that distance. All right. It's actually the entire alphabet. So I got A through Z. All right. Because I'm always trying to test the limit. How many letters can we put on the back side? So we have some items on the back of hats that kind of like conditions and variables of size, size and the amount of letters that we can put in the back of the hats. All right, because this one here, a lot of times it's tricky. Okay, a lot of times back of hats is tricky because, all right, because let me zoom in right here. All right, um, these back hats, they're not perfectly uh, rounded. All right, sometimes it might look like it has a perfect roundness. Okay, but as you're gonna see when we analyze this stuff. All right. A lot of times this stuff is not perfectly rounded, and then when you digitize according to a perfect roundness, it's not perfectly spaced out. Okay. For the most part, I've seen, I've seen, most part when people do back of hats. Okay. For the most part, okay, 99% of the time, it's never perfect. Okay, it's never perfect, and a normal customer, okay, a lot of times is not even gonna notice that it's not even perfect, all right? But as embroiderers, all right, we're always looking into the little minor details, things that people don't even look at, people that don't even think about, all right? But us as embroiderers, we're always seeing little imperfections, especially on the back of hats. All right, so in today's episode, I definitely want to go into, we're going to talk about the digitizing, all right, how to set up the back of hats. Uh, we're gonna hoop. Okay, so I'm gonna bring out. I like to use the Gen 2. So you saw in the thumbnail, I have my hat set up on the Gen 2. Okay, there are different ways to embroider on the on the back of hats. As long as you could flatten it out. Okay, you can use whatever method you use. Okay, so you can use the 8-in-1. There's always the 8-in-1 way, and there's the regular rounded hoops. Okay, very popular way like that. All right, whatever method is best for you. Okay, that's the way. That's the way you want to use it. All right, but I'm going to show it with the Gen 2. I'm going to show you. I'm all about making life so much easier. Okay, so I'll show you how I go about when I'm hooping my hats. All right, so let's start this morning. All right, let's do some good mornings. Good morning, Bevy Jean. Good morning, Barb. All right, right. We got TMG in the house from Florida. All right, Michael Dahl from Potsdam. All right. Mark White, good morning from Florence, Arizona. Rhonda, good morning. Rob Jones from Rochester, New York. Jose Lopez, Cartel Print, all right, from Rhode Island. Mark T from Oakland. All right. So we got the West Coast, we got the East Coast, and I'm here, northern side of Chicago. All right. So we got pretty much all the sides. We have some of our international friends. All right. Damon Reeves. All right. From SoCal. All right. All right. Make sure. All right. I'll just post this as a reminder. Uh, hit that like button. All right. Hit that like button. We got to let YouTube know that we are in the house today. Let me see. Hit the like button. All right, appreciate that. All right, right, right. If you have any questions or anything of what we're talking about, sometimes I kind of skip some of the little minor detail stuff because, right, I kind of trying to just kind of go faster. And but at any time, if you have any questions or anything, okay, if you see that I'm skipping some steps, just write it on the chat, okay. And also, all right. If you want to know why we're doing a certain step, also, if you see that I'm doing a step, but why am I doing a step? All right. So I'm all about questions. And that way, okay, sometimes we're going to help the people that are not on the live, that are watching it on the replay. That way we can get as much information as possible. All right. All right. Let's start off with, let's go into the digitizing. So here, okay, let me just show you this right here on the light box. All right. Here, what I have, okay. Usually when I'm doing back of hats, I like to um, I like to get a picture, okay, because there's different ways to take a picture of the back of a hat, okay. Usually people just have take the regular picture of the normal hat the way it's worn, and then they get the line like that, all right. But I think the most accurate way to have a template is to actually cut it out. So I have a video where I cut this the back of this hat out. Um, this is the same cutout. The only thing this time I added these lines. So I made a line here. Okay, so on the back, okay, I sharpied this line here because this is really our limit. You don't really want to pass this area. Okay, I really don't want to embroider on this part of the hat. Okay, because it's pretty hard, pretty strong. Okay, might introduce some needle breaks and it's just unnecessary. I think once you get into this area, all right, you pretty much gone too far. All right. So I kind of make a mark here to let me know on my picture, right? This is kind of like my boundary area. I don't want to pass this area. Okay. This is my middle spot here. And a lot of times, right? A lot of times this center line is not perfectly centered. All right. So when you're hooping and we're using this as a center line, we're usually hooping, and I'm going to show you when I hoop this, when I hoop the back of this hat or the back of a hat. Okay, you're going to see that sometimes you want to follow this straight line here, but sometimes it's not perfectly centered. So we're always making adjustments, and we're always trusting our eye when we're hooping. Okay. Um, so I got some dots here just to show me the path. Okay, so what I'm trying to focus on, right, when we're talking about getting the perfect curve, I'm using this stitch, right? I don't know if you can see it because it's white on white, but I want to follow this stitch right here. Okay, this top one. All right. So when I have my curve, I want to have evenly spaced out. All right. So can be challenging at some times, especially I think the cheaper the hat, the more inconsistent a lot of these stitches could be. All right. I use Yupoong dad hats and pretty good. All right. Actually, they're my favorite, the best that I like to use. Okay. But even Yupoong hats, they're not going to be perfectly centered or a perfect circle or oval. All right. So we'll see that. All right. So we're always thinking about our conditions. All right. We don't want to pass these lines here. All right. And then we'll see on the hoop when we're hooping. there's certain areas we can't pass anyways because then we'll start hitting the hoop also. Okay, so if we're doing straight lines, so a lot of times you'll be doing the straight line, the straight name. Okay, that one is a whole lot straightforward. But if you understand the concept of the curve, then the straight line is pretty much automatic. All right. All right. Let's go into our software. All right. So here I took a picture. Okay. I have a picture of what I just showed you. I just put it underneath. All right. Well, let me go back to this one. Let me show you. Let me show you this here. Actually, the reason why I like this ruler here, this green one. All right. Let's zoom out. The reason why I like this ruler here, okay, because if I'm ever using anything as a template, if I want to take a picture of an item, okay, I could just lay my item flat and then I place this ruler on top of it. Okay. So when I take a picture, all right. So when I take a picture of a template that I want to use, okay, I have the measurements on top of my garment that I'm using. All right. So very useful ruler. Okay. Just kind of flans everything out. All right. So you're gonna see how I used it when I'm digitizing my names. All right. All right. Let's go to the. All right. So I took a picture and I put it into my digitizing software. So I have it here available. Okay. Um, Let me just show you a couple items here. All right. So when I use my template, I like to put, this is that center line. This is the little dot that I put on top. This is the center of my name. So the text that I'm going to use, this is what I'm going to use as a reference. And you can see on my grid, I have it perfectly centered at the 0. Okay, so here I could put an arrow down here. So I have it perfectly centered at 0 on the x-axis. And then here, down bottom, so I'm perfectly centered on 0, 0. Okay, so that's kind of like my guide that I'm using right here. Okay, and then here you can see the black Sharpie, the straight line that I made. This is kind of like my boundary area that I'm using here. Okay, so when I'm doing my text, I don't want to go past that. Same thing here. Okay, now let's go ahead and I'm just going to put some text. Okay, let's go here. Let me open this up, my objects. All right. All right, let's just write. Okay, so I'm here in the text. All right, so there was a couple episodes ago when we talked about text. We kind of analyzed all of our features, how to go about editing text. Okay, so we're gonna use a lot of those information there. Okay, I'm just gonna do a real simple one. Okay, I'm just gonna put all caps Romero Threads, and then we'll kind of go into the more complicated stuff. All right, for example, my hat. Okay, the hat I was wearing had the whole alphabet A through Z. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to go about and making letters fit or making letters fit into the little space that we have. All right, so let's go ahead. Okay, kind of went away. Romero Threads. Okay, uh, we could go just block 2. Mm, Block 2 is very basic. If you're doing any type of sampling, I would say use block 2. Very good. All right, height. Okay, this is the important one. Okay, for this one here, okay, anything less than 5 millimeters. All right, now we're going into the small text area. All right, which we're going to talk about when we're putting the whole alphabet. All right, but for right now, I think a 9 millimeter should be all right. We should be all right there. Okay. And then if we're talking about in inches, that's 0.354. All right. So we're good there. All right. 9. This is the big one here. All right. Any shape. This is the one I like to use to make my curve here. All right. So we're going to use that one. We're going to be justified, center justified. All right. And then spacing, we're going to manually space our items. So we'll be good on that area. Okay. Um, all right. And then our sequence, we'll kind of do that at the very end. Okay. So I'm ready to go. So far, my settings. All right. I'm going to create text. Push it here. Create text. And then down on the bottom left-hand corner, okay, you can read. My software is giving me some instructions. It's telling me enter 0.1 on the curve. So it wants me to create my curve. And I'm going to use my template to create this curve. All right. Even though I start here, right? Even though I don't want to pass this area, I'm still going to use this area here just to kind of guide myself. All right. So this is like a starting point. And then I'll put the first curve right here. All right. So I want to be right below this black area. Then I look for that for my next area. You can also use these stitches. If you see the stitches, you kind of use that as a, okay. But I have my black marker here. Then here is my center line. I'm right below that. Okay. Then I look for the next black dot. All right. These are all references that I used on my picture. All right. And then you could use a piece of thread as a guide. And then here, want to be right below. And then at the very end, just click anywhere here. All right. Enter. All right. Now I have my name perfectly. I won't say perfectly lined up right now, but um, it's following the shape of my dad hat. Okay. Um, Now, of course, this is kind of like a template, and like I said, each hat is different, right? So this is following this path, but for the most part, because usually when I do back of hats, okay, it's like 99.999% accurate. Even though the shape could change a tad bit, it's not enough of a change to make a big difference. All right. Um, So here, Romero Threads. Okay. Now here is where you can play with it. All right. So we can select, put our reshape. Okay. Reshape. If we need to space these out, so right now they're real close. Actually, let me space it here. Put a space, update text. Okay. Bam, bam. Okay. Um, we could dim our artwork. Okay. Here I have a line. Let me unhide this. Unhide. Okay, I have this line right here. Let me make sure it's perfectly centered. Yep, it's centered 0, 0. All right, let me change the color of this to blue. Okay, I have this line here, and I've created it a lot of trial and error. Okay, it is a lot of trial and error. And I've created this line. This is my maximum line where this is like my sweet spot with the hoop that I use. Okay, I don't want to go past this line right here. Okay, so for example, here I'm kind of past this line here. All right. So anything past here, I'm very close to hitting my hoop. All right. And I'll show you that when I'm hooping. All right. So what I want to do, I want to make sure I kind of balance my name out here. Okay. So I got space here. Okay. I can kind of bring it out. Okay. So I'm gonna push H, select all my letters, and just move to the left, and you'll see that my letters kind of rotate. All right. Pretty good here. All right, and then also what I like to do, okay, so I'm kind of past this black line, like my point that I don't want to pass, even though it's past here. All right, digitizing wise, I could pass it because when we hoop it, we're actually stretching this fabric. right, we'll kind of see it right here because when I take a picture of it, it's very flat, but it's not being stretched. But when you hoop it, you kind of pull it out a little bit out. Okay, that's why it kind of works a bit. All right, now what I like to do, especially with my text H, I like to avoid any cuts, any unnecessary cuts. Like I don't want to have 12 cuts right here every time it makes a letter. So I want to make these letters come real close to each other. So I'm going to select all. Okay, I select all. And what I do is I unselect the R. Now I can move all my letters all at the same time with the exception of R. All right, so I bring them closer. And then I unselect O and I bring the M closer. All right, you could go on your settings and and type in your spacing, but I like to do it just individually because each individual letter has a different amount of spacing that it requires. All right. Um, Now, for those who send out your digitizing, okay, sometimes text, especially if you're doing personalization, okay, if you're doing names, I would recommend learning at the very minimum how to do text because sometimes let's say you're doing 24 different names, it wouldn't make sense to send it to your digitizer 24 different designs. All right, it would be very costly, just time wise. Okay, and that would be a lot of time waiting for somebody to send back all those names. All right, so right now what I'm doing, I'm just making these letters come a little closer. All right. At the very minimum, I think most digitizers, at the very minimum, should be, especially if you do hats, um, doing names should be something that definitely practice on. All right. So here, all right, here I kind of spaced it out. Okay, gave me a little bit more room. Now what I could do is select all my letters and center it. Okay. You could follow this arrow here, which is supposed to give you a perfect center. Okay, but what happens sometimes, so I'll show you when I'm right here at the center. Okay, just like my center mark, right? I bring it down to the center. Um, Sometimes what happens is it's still unbalanced sometimes. So you kind of want to trust your eye here. All right. I'm kind of using my guides. All right, but sometimes you got to kind of get out of what the computer's telling you what's centered and kind of just kind of trust your eyes a bit. All right. Here, this center line, this is where that seam, this is the seam of the hat. So sometimes if you put letters in between that, it could work like that. But the most important thing is you want your text to be balanced. Okay. All right. So right now I got this right here. It's looking good. Okay. Bam, bam. All right. Now this is my way, the way I do it. Okay. Let me show you the traditional way that most people do it. Hide. All right. So the traditional way would be to put your text. Okay. Um, so I'll put the same thing, Romero Threads. So the traditional way would be not to use any shape, but to use RTW clockwise. Okay. Let me see if I could do this. All right. And then we put create text, enter start point of, so we could put our start point here, enter, get a straight line here. Put our center line here. All right. So here, H. All right, here, if we use it like this, what tends to happen, okay, tends to happen. All right. Let me see if I can edit this. If I were to make any changes here, it makes it all together all at once. So if I adjust this here, well, you're limited to, oops. So what I can't do, I can't change the baseline. Okay, so I have to be perfectly rounded. All right, and a lot of times since the back of our hat is not perfectly rounded, it can be an issue. Okay, so we can make minor tweaks. It's kind of what I'm saying. All right, and I'll show you an example of when you want to make little small minor tweaks. Okay, here I'm just limited. It has to be perfectly rounded. I cannot make tweaks. I cannot click down here. Okay, okay. It actually tries to make a change on it on a letter. All right. There's a different way to do it. We can go back to any shape. Okay. Romero Threads. All right, because there's so many ways to do stuff. Is that all right? Let's go create. All right, enter point one. So we could put our point one up here. Put our point two right here. Enter. Okay, we could do it like this. H. Since we selected any shape, we could actually adjust our baseline. So I just clicked here. Okay, created a node. Gonna make it round, and I'm gonna pull this roundness up here. All right, now here. Okay, now we have access to adjust items, right? You can make stuff, especially if you have kind of different types of hatbacks. Okay, let me delete this. All right. So yeah, so here you could do it like that, and then after that, okay. So this here is perfectly rounded. When I pick this up to the middle, okay. What happens is we kind of lose our point here. So this is my point, my reference point that I made later. Okay, so we kind of start getting out of our reference point. Let me see if I bring it down here. Okay, so here we gotta make adjustments. All right. All right. What I recommend also, if you're only doing like a short amount of names, all right. Let's just say Romero. All right. If you're just doing short amount of name, create text. Um, enter point one on curve. Actually, let's do free line. If you're doing just something simple, okay, no spacing, very short, create text. Okay, what you can do is just make it go flat. All right, go make it go straight. All right, sometimes that's probably your better option, just to go straightforward. But once you start getting into the longer names, you don't want to go too straight if it's a long uh, information and letters. All right, all right. Let's see. All right, let me take care of some questions here. All right. Um, we are gonna hoop. We're gonna hoop and we're gonna stitch some stuff out. All right. Good morning. And you guys use embroidery. All right. So dahlier. All right. Embroid. All right. If embroid, if anybody uses embroid. All right. Uh, I've never used embroid. All right. Good morning, Lena in Australia. All right. All right. JC Production. Have you done the side of a cap with this frame like for the EM1010? I've never used that EM1010, so I'm not sure if it's compatible with the EM1010. If you're talking about the Gen 2, I don't know if the Gen 2 side hoops is compatible with that one. Um, all right. JC, good point. What happens when there is somebody that wants 24 for it? Yep, exactly. Um, if somebody does want to, okay, so let me see the second part of the name. If somebody wants 24, 48 names, different names, how much would you charge for digitizing fee? All right. So everybody does different ways, right? What I like to do, anything back hats, I just charge a flat fee, $10. Okay, as an example, $10, charge $10, and that would include going in and typing in the names. All right. Now, if you have to send it out to a digitizer, that's a whole different story because now you have to include whatever the digitizer is charging you and the time that you're going back and forth with the digitizer. All right, so could be start going up. Okay, and then the digitizing fee that I charge is $1 every 1,000 stitches. All right, all right. For digitizing, okay, yeah. All right. With your Ricoma, how often are retention in your system? And because it does not come with a laser alignment system like the Velcro, where do you see the pros and cons? Thank you. All right. I mean, everything is just done on when we outline. I'm gonna show you how I do it. All right. When I do it, I don't really need the laser system. We'll kind of get into that detail. That's a good question though. Okay. All right. Um. Bevy Jean, think the way you do the name. I think I like the way you do them. Seems like it would be more consistently going to have. Yeah, practice. I'm pretty sure if you do hats, you have a bunch of practice hats, right? Hats that didn't make the cut. Okay, you could practice all day with the back of hats. All right. So usually if I mess up on a hat, I already know I'm gonna use the sides. I'm gonna sample the sides. I'm gonna sample the backs. All right. And then Barb, when I put the names on the back of hats, area basis, please, I charge per hat. For example, if I had 25, I would charge, for example, 650. So, yep, you just give a set price, especially if you're putting in the names. Um, Usually, you're getting when I do names, I'm getting a lot of just straight names, okay, because we do a lot of the fitted hats, and straight names is just straightforward. All right, straightforward. All right. Good morning, Juana. Good morning. All right. Oh, what thread would you use for that name? All right. And then for thread, okay, we're gonna use 40 weight with a 7511 needle. All right. Which better sound for some time. And then Dota. Definitely anytime I'm working with names, text, definitely sand stitch. Okay. Once we get to a certain size, that becomes big. Like let's say you're doing one letter, one big letter. Uh, if the biggest sand size is larger than 7 millimeters, then I might think about going tatami fill stitch. All right, all right. Good morning, Boricua. All right. All right. Good questions. All right. Good questions. All right. A lot of these questions we're gonna look at when we're talking about the hooping part. All right. Now let's talk about. Okay. All right. Let me get this question here. When do we use 60 weight thread for a font? I think if your font is looking like sausage, right? Too much, everything is all bunched up and you can't kind of tell what's what. Okay, like the letter E starts looking like a letter C. Okay, I'm thinking anything less than 5 millimeters. All right, actually, let me show you my hat that I'm wearing right now. Okay, let's go into D. All right, so the one I'm using right now, okay, let's go here. All right, let's check this out. All right, so here, all right, I put the alphabet. Okay, so we're talking about all the letters. All right, so here I can still see good. Here, this is a 40 weight thread. Okay, 40 weight. The letter A, I would say out of all the letters, maybe the letter A looks a little okay funny, right? But you would have to really zoom in, okay, to kind of see, right? From a distance, it doesn't look too bad. Let me zoom in a bit. Right. All right. Um, this is at 6 millimeters. Okay, we're at 6 millimeters high. I would say once we get into five, definitely down to four. Okay. Now the problem is once we get into this small, like you might not be able to start seeing the letters from a distance. All right. You might have to get so close. So sometimes if somebody wants their entire website slash something something, right? You might recommend them, hey, you might want to go a little bigger. You can't even read your text. Okay. Now, once we're going this small, okay, once we're going this small, I'm going to talk about it right now when we digitize this. All right. You definitely want to take out the underlay. Okay, because a lot of times you see kind of threads sticking out of letters where they're not supposed to, and most likely it's because you have unnecessary underlay. You have edge runs, especially the edge runs. When people use edge run on very small text, okay, on this one I'm just using a center run, center line as a underlay. All right, but it is possible. All right, so you're seeing it here. It is possible to put the whole entire alphabet here. Okay, let me show you another example here where I go a little bigger. Okay, so this one here, I believe this was 10 millimeters. So it's kind of like the one that we just digitized right now. Okay, now what I want to show you, right? I gotta zoom in super close for this one. All right, what you're looking for, okay? We're looking for spacing. Hold on, let me get my pointer right here. Okay, when we're looking at these names, and a lot of times this type of stuff, this type of information, like the general public doesn't see this, all right? But us as embroiderers, okay, I know I definitely notice a lot of these small little details, all right? So when we're talking about this curve, all right, we're talking about this curve, this spacing, okay, this is what I'm looking for, making sure this spacing is all consistent, all right? So from this piece of thread, all right, we got this thread that we use as our guide, okay? We want that to all be evenly spaced out. Okay, that's why I take the picture, and I would take a picture of whatever brand you're using. Okay, so we want uh, this spacing here. Okay, all to be perfectly spaced out. Now, this is where I tell you this is our kind of our limit. Okay, I would say to me this is our limit when we're talking about how far can we go, and I'll tell you why this is our limit. Okay. This is as far as this S can go. So that little line that I made, that I drew, that I said I don't want to pass that line, okay, is based off this, okay? If we were to go any lower down here, okay, what happens? Okay, let's check this out here. Right now, we're getting real close. Okay, we're getting close to this part here. All right. So once we kind of start digit or embroidering here, right, we have very high chance of breaking needles and just stuff going wrong. All right. So I kind of give myself up to this location to stop. Okay. So that's kind of what I put. All right. So when we're digitizing and we're doing, we want consistent spacing. All right. So that's like the key word for today when we're talking about uh, curves. All right. Consistent spacing on a curve. All right. Because you'll see it all day, right? When you see people with their hats. All right. It's kind of hard, especially if you do if you're just picking up a random hat that you've never worked on, all right, to get that curve is going to take you a bit just to at least get a template. All right. All right. Hold on, give me a sec. All right, let's see. Let me see if we got some questions. All right. And then Jeanette, do you use 65/9 needles when doing hats? You could if you're doing fine details. So 65 needles will work with hats too. So now with foam, if you're doing it with foam, I probably wouldn't recommend it using foam. Uh, you probably have a high chance of breaking a needle. And yeah, you could probably try it, but just regular flat hats, yeah, that's all day right there. Um, and then JC, how do you use any adaptation for anything above 7511, like 3D printed part for something you thread the needle quicker and simpler? Thank you. Uh, oh, 3D print. I don't use anything 3D printing. So any gadgets to kind of make you thread into the needle. Okay. I don't know why. I can easily just put the thread into the needle with no extra uh, any help for anything. I'll kind of show you how I thread the needle when I'm there. But um, yeah, this would actually be pretty good. That looks good for you. Wonder what the comparison. All right. I might later today. I might stitch it out with a 60 weight thread. I gotta find a 60 weight. See the difference. That is a good one. I'll put that on the to-do list for today. All right. Yep. Yep. That would be a good comparison. Um, and then Barb, I like the A through Z letter. Yep. So what I want to do with this, all right, if anybody's trying to do something where they want to put a lot of text, I'm gonna tell them this is how it's going to look. All right. So it's kind of like just an example where they know it's not gonna look very big. Okay. So just to get an idea, like, hey, the bigger the letter, the smaller the letter, or the more letters we put in, the smaller the letter has to get. Okay, so of course, if you're only using one letter, right, sky's the limit. You could probably make it 2 inches high, but as you're adding more letters, right, those letters are shrinking, shrinking, shrinking until you get to the entire alphabet, where this is a 6 millimeter uh, height. All right, and then I see the spacing between E and R in Romero too close. E and R. Uh, E. Oh, Romero. All right. Yeah. From right here, it looks good. Sometimes when we zoom in, right? Sometimes when you zoom in, you kind of see things out of perspective. But right here, all right, like once you see it, like right here, it's kind of pretty Romero, right? Once you see it from a distance, then it's kind of pretty spaced out pretty good. All right, so you can see it here. Spaced out. All right. All right. Yeah, so and zooming in, you're gonna find like stuff that you would never find ever. But then you kind of right. So I like to go both ways. I like to super zoom in, but then take a couple steps back and kind of see it from a distance. All right. So yeah, when you zoom in, it did look real close, but then when you kind of come out, okay. So yeah, yep, that's a good observation there. And then if I use a 6511 needle with 60 weight thread on a semi-structure has no, your needle's not gonna break. 65. No, I've ran 65 needles on strong hats, and you should be all right. It's just if you try to put it on 3D foam, that's a whole different story. Especially dense 3D foam, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. But something very basic, simple, just on a hat, you should be all right. All right. And then, yep, you gotta slow down your machine. Once you start going details, super small details, you definitely want to slow down the machine. And then, yep, barb, right, exactly what I was talking about. Okay. Once you take a couple steps back, okay, everything starts looking. So it's a lot of times also with the digitizing, right? In the digitizing, you might think something is too close, or sometimes stitches are on top of stitches, but by the time they stitch out, it kind of opens up a little. And then this is a good question right here. How much density do you use on the small letters? Well, let's go ahead. Let's analyze this alphabet. Okay. Okay. Let me analyze this alphabet. I got it. Um, Bam. It's this one right here. Copy. We just copy this and place it on this ruler that we have here. All right. Bam. H. Yep. I got that center line right there. All right. So hold on. Let me make this bigger. All right. This is the best part that I like about embroidery is analyzing stuff, stitching it out, and seeing different situations. All right, that's why I like that recommendation too. Let's see it how it looks how with 60 weight, right? Because you always want to have comparisons. Okay. All right, so this was my line here. Okay. 8. So you see my little blue line that I have here. Oh, change it this color. All right. Kind of like that's the maximum space that I like to give myself a bit. It's kind of and then when I centered it, all right. Let's check out our settings here. All right. So when I select on that, um, my underlay, okay, underlay. Actually, hold on. Oh no, hold on. My thing locked. Unlock all. I don't know if it was. Hold on. H. All right. Let's go underlay. Okay. It's kind of stuck on this one. Underlay center run. Okay. Density. Let's check out the density. That was a question right there. Density. Yeah, I didn't change the density, so it's probably at a 38. Yep, 38 spacing. I just took out the auto spacing, and auto split it don't even matter because at this distance nothing's gonna auto split because nothing's over 7 millimeters. All right. Okay, this is the big one here. All right, this is what I haven't talked about yet. Okay, is sometimes if we were to start from A and go all the way through Z, what can happen is you can start getting shifting. Okay, we could start shifting on our hat. Okay, what I like to do, I like to go center out in situations like this. All right, we got a long name, and sometimes you'll see this even on the side of hats. You'll see where people start getting their names start kind of going into a different direction. Okay, what I like to do. So let me replay this, show you how it how it's ran. Let's hide this guy here. Okay. All right. What I like to do, center out, right? So it's going to start at the M. Okay. And what it's going to do, it's going to go towards the left. And that way it's pushing the fabric outward. Okay. It's not pushing fabric inward. That way I could keep, I'm not losing registration. All right. So a lot of times everything can be done correctly, but what could happen if we're going from A through Z, we can start shifting the hat a bit. So by the time it gets to Z, it might be just a little bit of a millimeter off. And sometimes on a hat, if you're trying to follow that consistency, it might be noticeable. All right. So bam, and then after it does the A, it's gonna stop. Okay, and then it's gonna start on the N. Okay, then let's speed it up here. And then you can see it's just a center run, so we don't have too much. We don't have too much underlay. All right, so I'm using my guide here. All right, let me see. Bam, bam. All right, and then I have other examples. So here, let's check out. Let's continue checking out the details of this. Okay, so let's go to special. All right, so my height, you can see we're at 6 millimeters high. Okay, if I were to go 10 millimeters, hold on. Yes, that actually just raises the. It takes it out of proportion. H. Actually, I stopped it there. All right, and then one thing, if you're going small, you can notice here I have small block. I'm not using regular block 2. Okay, so I'm using the small block. Okay, and that just and that's just digitized for smaller letters. Okay. All right. So the big thing here, okay, you want to use a template. All right, different hats. Okay, let's say we're using a different brand of hat, may require different template. Okay, for example, okay, this is right before we got on station here. All right, I actually let's copy and paste this. I actually stitched this out before we came on station right now because I wanted to try it on a just on a different brand of hat and a structured hat. Okay, so structured snapbacks, they're a little different than that hats. So I was like, well, let me see if I use that same template on a snapback. Okay, so it still follows the same path as before. Okay, this is a script font, size 9.5 distance. Okay, so pretty good size. Shows pretty good. All right. So on a regular dad hat, this would fit perfectly. It would be perfectly rounded. All right. Now, now let me show you. Let me bring it out here. What happened? Okay. I would say I I stitched it out on a structured hat. Structured hat, snapback. All right. I would say we are probably 90 general public, it would be 100% fine, right? If you're selling this, if we see it in the mall, 100% fine. Embroiderer wise, I would say we're 92% there. Okay, let me show you why. Bring it out right here. All right, so we're at a snapback here. Okay, let's see it here. All right, let me see if you can tell. Let's zoom in a bit. All right, we're super zoomed in right here, right? So usually general public doesn't see this. All right, so it actually did pretty good. Okay, it actually did pretty good. What I would do, right, if I wanted to use this hat and use my template, all right, the ends on the M and the W, I would just lift it a hair bit up. Okay, a hair bit. All right, let me know what you think about it. All right, so this here, 9 millimeter uh, height. Okay, so it's pretty good size. It looks very sharp. Like I would recommend if you were to do websites like this. Okay. Um, I like this one because the www dot it's in lowercase and the .com is in lowercase, so it complements it. It actually makes the website kind of stand out a bit. Okay. Especially the website since it starts capital. Okay. It kind of lifts it up a bit above this. All right. And then distance wise, you can see it very good. All right. But the only change I would make, because we're talking about consistency. So this same spacing, okay, hold on. Get my pointer here. This same spacing that we have here, okay, I kind of want it all around, right? And then here, okay, we're perfectly writing this line. So I would lift this just a hair bit up, okay? And then up here, lift this just a hair bit up, okay? So this is here using the template for a dead hat, but for a structured snapback hat. All right. So I would say I can still use that template with a minor adjustment. And let me show you the minor adjustment that I would make. Okay. So the minor adjustment that I would make, so I selected H to reshape. Okay. And that's the good thing about having control of your digitizing, because sometimes a digitizer, he can be doing a good job, but sometimes all what requires is a minor tweak. So for example, here, if I want to just lift that W a tad bit, okay, actually, I would have to lift all three of these. So I'll select these three and then just lift this up a tad bit. All right, that's it. Okay, maybe even a little hair. Okay, same thing here. So from right here to right here, okay, just lift it a tad bit just to fit, my my snapback. All right, just with that change, okay, with a little minor detail change. All right, but I'm telling you, for the general public, okay, they wouldn't even have recognized what we're analyzing right here. Okay, so I'm looking at it. So when I'm looking at it in person, all right, you can see it like right here. All right, right. General public, they wouldn't even know what's going on. All right, they would think this right here, perfect. All right, actually fits pretty perfect. All right. One thing about these structured snapbacks, I think this part, the hole, it's a little bit more straight, right? It's not like real ovalish. It's a little bit more straight. So what you can probably do, okay, let's see. What you could also do here on the Romero Threads, okay, and that's why I like to pick a hat. I like to choose a hat and run with that hat because you would know everything about that hat. Okay, and that's just with any garment. Like if you choose a garment, like if you're going into the whatever industry you're going and whatever your genre is, I would recommend choosing a brand and running with that brand so you know everything about that brand. You know if certain areas are different, if it has different cuts, how much of a different cut does it have? All right. But here, I, with this type of hat, what you can do, you could even like flatten. You could probably flatten this out a bit. Okay. And then bring the curve towards the sides. Okay, so there's a lot of things you could play with, right? With this brand, actually, I'm gonna have to make a template for this one. This is for the Yupoong snapback because we did get a lot of these type of hats, so we're gonna get requests for the names on that. And usually, once you have a template, all right, you're just running with that template. And then if you make adjustments, like if this is too close, right, as long as you keep it within the text H, you could just select this letter with the O. Okay. That's the good thing about keeping it in text format that you have access to mess around with these texts. All right. Bam bam. All right. Now what I want to show you. Uh actually let's go ahead and unhide all. Unhide. All right, I got a lot of stuff right here. Let's delete this guy. Delete. And then this box, I made myself a box to kind of give myself parameters. This is like my boundary that I want to be at. Okay, this is kind of like my safe zone, and you'll see when I'm hooping. Okay, when I'm hooping, this is where my hoop kind of hits. So you should have an idea of where you want to uh, of your boundaries. Okay. All right, now we're gonna end the digitizing portion before we get into the stitching. Okay, what I want to show you, okay, very important. So when I'm centering, when I put it on the hoop and I want to center my center point, okay, traditionally, okay, let me reset it where I have it auto start. Actually, let me copy and paste this, copy, and then put it on a new design, show you something pretty cool. Okay, we could center this 0. The way by default, auto start end, when you auto start, okay. All right, my center when I try to hoop it on the hat, when I place my equipment on the machine, okay, this here, this green part right here, this is my center of my whole design right here, right? So if we put a box around this, okay, this center point here and the center here, that's where my needle is going to start when it's tracing, okay? But this really, I want to be as accurate as possible. And what I want to do, I want to put my needle and adjust it to this part of the end, right where it's centered, the bottom of the end. So I know exactly where I want to put my hat, okay? Or exactly where I want my design to start or the middle part. So what I do, okay, and I'll show you when I put it on the machine. Okay, what I do, and if your software has this ability, all right, you're at a very big advantage. All right. Um, so what I do, I put auto start in. Okay, I'm pretty sure most of software has this. Okay, where you could manually place. So I'm gonna put digitize. I'm gonna tell the software where I want the center point to be at. Okay, so I'm gonna say digitize start end point. Okay, and then I push OK. And then down on the bottom left is giving me directions. It says enter auto start endpoint. So I want to zoom in here. I want that center line to be right here. Okay. And I want to start right where that center part, whatever part that's at, put it right there and bam, I just set that center line. All right. And you're going to see how useful it is when I'm putting it on the machine. All right. So this will be where my needle, when I'm tracing, where I'm going to place that needle at. All right. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go into the hooping part. All right. Um, hold on. Let me switch sides here. All right. Um, what I'll probably do, I'll probably stitch out the alphabet part. I think that one's cool. That way we can kind of go over kind of like our parameters, and you'll see how close we are to the hoop. Okay, it's kind of like the maximum space that you want to be at. I don't think I have a 60 weight thread, so I'm gonna have to table that for. I'll probably do that later today. All right, let's transition to the GoPro here. All right, give me one sec. And turn this guy off. All right, hold on. Give me 1 sec. Let me just check on this camera right here. All right. We'll use this one again when we zoom into our final product. All right. But of course, so we took care of the digitizing part. I'll get to the questions, all right, in a bit. Oh, I think I screwed this in too tight. All right, we'll figure it out later. Actually. All right. Oh, damn, that thing came in super tight. Hold on. This thing came in super tight right here. All right, there we go. All right. Change the battery in a bit. All right, let's see if I take care of some questions real quick. And then Barb, this is a good speed here. Okay, 625, 650. Yeah, hats, you got to take it down a bit. All right, so yes, definitely slow down. For hats, okay, we're doing hats. We're doing a lot of hats, okay. With flats, you could kind of bring it up a bit. All right, so T-Town, good morning. All right. Uh, yeah, appreciate that. Hit that like, okay. Let's let YouTube know, okay, we are here learning. And let's see, VL. I have a font that uses 3 colors. Will using more colors make the stitch out on the back of a hat more complicated? Uh, yeah. So anytime you add more colors, the more you add stitches on top of stitches. Okay. It's not that it's more complicated. It's just more conditions, more little small variables you have to look out for. And you'll notice when you do the first stitch out, the sample stitch out, if it doesn't come out good, then you got to just make adjustments. Um, and then JC, the template that you have in your digitizing software, is that for you? So I created that. So you saw in the light box how I have it set up. So I just took a picture of it, and then I kind of sized it up to make it fit here. All right. Actually, before we start hooping, all right, I do have an announcement. All right, kind of goes with this part here. All right, so let's go into big picture here. All right, real quick. Okay, I started a YouTube channel membership. Okay, channel membership. What I want to start focusing in is in creating templates. All right, so like the one you saw here. Okay, creating templates, creating PDFs. Okay, so a lot of information that we've been learning. I want to kind of package it in and make it into a quick, easy printout or something that you could download and put it onto your software like this. Okay. So the YouTube channel membership is going to include any of the PDFs that I create or some of the pictures and even some videos, right? Maybe there might be a video that goes with a certain PDF. Okay. It'll be included with the membership. Okay. Right now, the membership, okay, it's a monthly fee, 19.99, and it's going to include all those PDFs. So at the very beginning, right, at the beginning of the year, we've been talking about the book slash PDFs. Um, and instead of trying to sell them one by one at a time and like that, I'd rather just have a membership where as soon as I create a PDF or a template, I could just put it on the YouTube membership page and you could easily access them like that. All right. So um, I do want to focus, right? Go all out on doing templates because once you have templates, it kind of makes life a whole lot easier, right? It's just repeat, right? Rinse and repeat once you have that template. Okay. So I do have a bunch of templates that I use and I just want to share them with everybody. But even before I share them, even make them better. Okay. Make them better, make them more clear. And anytime we have PDF to put out, I could just easily put it out there instead of sending you to a website here and a website there and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's just easier to send it over there. All right. All right. Appreciate that, Barb. All right. Became a YouTube member, Barb. All right. It's actually our first member. All right. So I just put it out like right now and appreciate that, Barb. All right. So I'm excited to put out all that information. So these templates that we're working on, that you see me working on, I'm just going to throw that all on there. And another big thing about the membership is the classes. What I'm going to do with these live classes, right? We've been going live every weekend, every Saturday this whole year. Okay. With the exception, we took a break, right? Like 4 week break. But what I want to do is I want to condense, I want to chop up the lives into a very condensed version, probably like a 10-15 minute version. So I'm going to take a 2 hour class, condense it to a 10-15 minute version. That way you can just, if you want to go through a quick class real quick, all right, we have like a expedited version that you could kind of go through, and I'll just chop up like the good parts of that story. All right, just it's just an extra stuff to kind of, you know, keep the learning right to the next level. Okay, but now this is a big but, is a lot of this information right on YouTube is still going to remain the same. There's still going to be all the same uh, tutorials. We're still going to have the lives. All right, they're still going to be available. All right, so it's just extra stuff, and that way, okay, that way, um, support the channel, right? Support the channel. We're able to purchase little small items such as this like light box just to make the teaching and the experience more better. All right. All right. That's just kind of announcement off the side. All right. There's more to come, right? I'm going to do more information on that. But for right now, okay. And then so, hi, is the information archive in case we join at a date late? Yeah, you could, as soon as you join as a member, anything that's there available, right? It's there for you. All right. But once you join, you're just seeing everything come in as they're being put out. All right. Now let's go into, and then Bevy Jean, how do we join this? There should be a link somewhere on YouTube. Okay, I haven't really um, when you go to the page, it'll say join. Let me see. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play with it because I haven't seen how you do it. But all right, let's go back to hooping. Okay. Bam, bam. All right, this here. All right, if you are familiar with this apparatus here, all right, one of my favorites. You see? All right, let me make sure you get a good view of this. All right. This here is the Gen 2 side hoop. All right, there's two different sizes for this. All right, there's like the bigger one. I do names. Most of my things is names, and then back of hats. Um, I'm not doing anything crazy like on the back of the hats. If I'm putting a logo, right? Logos are uh, fairly small, relatively small. Okay, I'm not putting any big designs on the back of hats, and plus, we don't really have a lot of space to put designs, right? So this one here is also used for the side. Okay, sides. If you understand the back of the hats, right? That's why I kind of wanted to use back of hats for this one, because if you understand the back of hats, right, everything else is kind of straightforward from there on out. Okay. Now, let me see if I have to turn on this light here. Give me a sec. All right. Let me see if that kind of helped a bit. All right. Yeah, it's a little better. See this right here. All right. First thing, let me pick this up a bit. First thing, all right, let me get you a good angle right here. You see? Oops. No, too high. All right, I just want to show you the hat right here. All right, so we got our hat right here. Okay. Of course, you want to take out the strap, right? Right. So now we got it flat here. All right. Let me one more adjustment real quick. A little too high. All right, we should be all right. Sorry about that. All right, bam, good. Good to go. All right. What I like to use anytime I'm working with dad hats, okay, I'm getting our tearaway. Okay, fold it. Fold the tearaway. Now, there are different ways. There are different ways to hoop the back of dad hats. Okay, whatever is your preferred way, then right, you're gonna do it according to that. But the digitizing portion, that's all pretty much that could all be the same. Okay, but some people like to use the C hoop, okay, or the rounded hoops. Okay, I might practice that way because I know a lot of people like doing it like that. I might practice it with that and then kind of see if I like it. Okay, but this way, since I started doing it this way, it's been kind of like the easiest way I've done it. So I've just stuck with it because it's so easy and straightforward. All right, so here I just insert the back of my hat. Okay, what you want is for your hat to be nice and flat. All right, that's the name of the game. Let's make it flat. Okay, if we have any, right, anything kind of. Now, some things to look out for. The more you have your hat in, okay, the more you have it in like this, okay, the more surface area is hooped, the more solid your hooping is, right? The more, right, kind of makes sense where. But a lot of times you can't have it this low because now you're limited how far you could stitch the name. If you're going to put one name or you're going to put a bigger size here, then yeah, you want to go this low, right? But for our example, if we want to put the entire alphabet, okay, this isn't going to work for us. So what we want to do, okay, we want to lift it as high. And I know my distance is kind of like 6 millimeters. So it's up to here. So I'm using that as a guide. Okay, I want to use that as a guide to see how high I have to get. Okay, and this is kind of like where those bands are at. Okay, you want to kind of have an idea where those bands are at. Okay, but once you're good, okay, and you're using this straight line here. Okay, I know it's a little dark. Hold on, let me see if I bring in this light. All right, it's a black hat. That's fine. All right, let's use this right here. So you have the line of your hat. Okay, and then you have this little notch here. So we want to line that up there. Okay. And this one here. All right. see. And you want to try, you want to use two things, all right? You want to use this straight line as a guide, but at the same time, you want to use your instinct, kind of like your eye, your visual. Because I'm telling you, sometimes these hats, they're made so inconsistent or so kind of wonky where this line might not be straight. Okay, so at the same time, you're trying to guide yourself and make the hat look straight. Okay, and usually you want to trust your eye where once you got it, then you could just snap it, right? And I have my hat nice and flat right here. Okay, good. And then here, right, you could see everything nice and flat, nice and good. All right. All right. Now let's go ahead. Let's go to the machine. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick glance. If there's any questions on the hooping. Okay. I know I kind of did it pretty quick. Give me one sec. Okay. And if you're starting out in embroidery, okay, a lot of this stuff isn't this quick. All right. You're taking your time. You're doing stuff a little slower. All right. Because I know I used to move in slow motion when I started. All right. All right. Appreciate that, Sadar. All right. Morning, youngster. All right. Bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. All right. Let me see. All right. Let's go back right here. All right. All right. So we are on the machine. So this one's my hat machine. Okay. I know for the most part we do a lot of flats, but this one here, this one's my main one. All right. All right. So now, right. Actually, let me find my file that I have with my letter. Um, I'm just gonna select. Let me see. I don't know if I deleted it though. Hold on. I don't know why I deleted it. I deleted it this morning. Yeah, hold on. I got it here. Oh, there it goes. All right. Just gonna trace it right here by itself. All right. Now this one here, okay, this is like perfectly made. Like it has to be set up correctly or else you're very likely to hit the hoop. All right. So there's a couple things we want to do. All right. So first thing, all right, this was the important part right here. This is kind of like the one. Remember when I put by auto start? Okay. So now when I center it, okay, I'm going to center this. Okay. When I center this, I'm centering it where I want that bottom of the letter going to be. Okay. Because if I were to center it the middle of the design, my center point would have been somewhere here where my tearaway is at. Okay, so I'm right here. I want to tell it exactly where that bottom part, so the center part, where it's going to start doing that curve. Okay, so I'm right here. I'm right above that stitching. Okay, that stitching that I have here. So I'm right above that, and I'm right in the center. My hoop. I'm going to do a regular trace. Okay. So this one here, it could show that you're hitting the hoop. All right. That's just because you're doing a box trace. All right. But the main trace you want to try is your silhouette. and this will tell me. Okay, so I'm kind of close right there. It's gonna show me if I were to hit. All right. All right. It looked like we're good. Now that I saw that trace, now I'm gonna put the needle down. All right. So I saw that it didn't hit the needle. Okay. And then I saw that it didn't hit the hoop. All right. So I always say trace it 3 times. Okay. Because you just never know, right? Now I'm gonna do this final trace. I'm gonna put it all the way down. Okay. It's like I felt it kind of tip. Okay. Final tip. If something like that happens, I just I just felt it kind of barely tip. Of course, we don't want that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lift it up a bit. Okay. I just lift it up a bit, and that just gave me some space, right? So I'm not gonna be so tight on this line. I'm gonna lift up the design a bit. All right. So you're kind of like in your brain, you're thinking about how it was digitized. Okay. You're kind of thinking how it was digitized. So since I was writing the seam so tight, okay, that's why I kind of bumped this in. But now run this trace. All right, bam. Didn't even get close to it. All right. All right. Once you run that trace and you're 100% sure, all right, let me select the color. What color should I go with? Since it's black, I'll go yellow just so we could see this color. Okay. So that's needle 4. And usually my needle 4, I'm doing it's set up for puff. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna tighten it up. It's actually pretty tight. 1, 2. All right, so I turned the tension knob a bit, okay, to 2 notches. Okay, hopefully I don't forget because my wife, she actually has these tensions like dialed in perfectly for puff. So I definitely don't want to mess these up for her. All right, once we're good to go, okay. Before we start, let me see. I can't remember if there was a question regarding. I think we said we were going to talk about something like that. All right. All right. And then let me see. Before I push start, are you going to move up and down with the wheel? Why did you choose the recorder against the recorder against the Recoma? Maybe Malco teaches up to constantly 50,000 pitches a minute. Thank you. 15,000 stitches per or 1,500 stitches per minute. All right. Yeah. All right. Bam, bam. All right. I think we're good to go. Okay. So here, I'm gonna so we're gonna start from center out. All right. So let's push that start. All right. Yep. We got a good angle right there. I can see it clean right there. So we're doing center out. So it's gonna do that M. Um, Let me see. Bang. So this is how it looks like on the software. Okay, that part that is stitching out. Okay, LM. All right. So the thing that I'm looking out for right here, you could kind of see it. You could kind of get a good view here. Is that consistent spacing, and usually where the spacing kind of gets out of alignment is at the very end. So like the last letter, so like the letter A, that's the one where you want to see does it match the spacing all together. All right, and then I kind of showed you if it kind of shifts in too bit or too out, then there's ways to kind of adjust how to get it. All right, and then Bevy Jean, all right. Just remember these are videos. All right, they're always available for the replay. So I would always highly recommend to watch it and then rewatch it. Okay, because sometimes you kind of miss little small details that we kind of go through, or sometimes you want to try something for yourself and then go back to the video and kind of see how we did it. All right. And then Barb need to do a video on how to subscribe. All right. Maybe on how to become I think you're talking about the member, how to be a. All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then Barb uses the 5.5 Mighty Hoops for backs. Yep, you definitely could use 5.5. All right. So many different ways to do it, right? To do the back of hats. It's just once you find your like your preferred method, then you kind of want to stick with that. But I might try out different ways because I also have the 8-in-1 hoops. I also have the green hoops, the rounded ones. Some people like to use the rounded ones. So I might just challenge myself and try all the different ways. Also the 5.5 one. Okay, I'm pretty sure it could grip the hats real good too. All right, let's open this up. TMG. I'm at a 500 right now, and reason why I'm at 500 because this is 6 millimeters. Okay, I'm running it at 6 millimeters height. Very small text. I just don't want anything to kind of skip a beat while it's stitching. Usually, I'll do fill stitches, tatami stitches at a higher speed, sand stitches, especially the smaller it gets. I tend to tone it down a bit. And then the 8-in-1 has a hoop for the back of the hat. Yeah, it has one made for. Uh, One thing about the 8-in-1, it's kind of like you're floating it. You could put some clips on it, okay, but it's just this method here. Like you could see how it just grips everything, all right. And the back of hats, especially when you kind of have that opening in the middle, any slight shift, and you'll see the underlay kind of slip through. You lose registration. That's why I kind of. So here we're kind of seeing how close, right? How close we're writing that hoop, right? We're very close to hitting the hoop, but as long as you trace, right? You trace it 3 times, you can be pretty sure. All right, let's grab that. Give me 1 sec. We'll put it in the big lights right now. All right, let me see. Initial view. Yep, good to go. All right, so this here, oops, Hold on. This here, I would say, is like worst case scenario. Somebody wanted 26 letters, right? Uh, Somebody wanted 26 letters, right? This is right now, right here, right? Looks sharp right here. We'll analyze it right now. That's like the hat that I'm wearing right here. All right, let's change this battery and let's zoom in to our dad hat. Okay. So I think if you do hats, okay, well, if you're an embroiderer, people are always going to request to put their name, their job title, their websites, right? So text, just text as a general skill, all right? Must have skill for embroidery, okay? Now, if you do hats, okay, if you do hats, you're definitely going to be asked to do back of hats, okay? That's a given. Personalized names, that's a given, all right? And then especially on, okay, so I highly recommend to be prepared so when somebody requests names, you're already ready to go, all right? You already know your preferred method, okay? Um, Different ways to do the back of hats. So figure out what is the best way for you to do it. All right. What is the fastest way? Okay. So if you notice that something's taking too long, you might have to go with plan B. Right. All right. Um, let's see. Let's close this up. Let me know if you got any questions before we zoom in into our light box. All right, this is good information to know. I cannot use Gen 2 with the Ricoma EM10. All right, so I guess they're not compatible. Okay, all right. I don't know if somebody kind of tweaked their EM1010 to make their Gen 2 fit. I don't know if I've seen that before, but um, yeah, I mean, Gen 2 just makes life easy. But like I said, I've seen people use the round ones, use the round hoops. Okay, I've seen the way Barb uses it with the 5.5. Seen it been done with that. Okay, so with the 8-in-1s. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's pop this one in. Give me one sec. HDMI. Right. So the main thing today was when you're doing um, dad hats, names on dad hats, you want to get a consistent straight line. And if you don't have that consistent straight line, then we kind of talked about how we kind of adjust, right? We adjusted in the digitizing, and we kind of saw our maximum, our minimums. Hold on, one sec. Let's shift over. All right. All right. So this is all I've done is take off the the tearaway. All right. So once again, we got it good. All right. So we're looking for. I know it's kind of dark on your side. All right. But I'm looking for consistency. So I'm following that stitching. Okay. So it's pretty consistent. All right. So what I am going to try today, later today, I'm going to try it with a 60 weight and we'll see. We'll see. But for the most part, okay, this is a 40 weight thread. Did a real good job. Okay. Real good job. All right. So let me show you the 3 samples that I have here. Okay, so I have a block letter, I have a small letter. Actually, let me show you this example right here. I got this one from this is my Laker hat right here. And like I said earlier, if you have something where it's just a small amount of letters, then you can make the letters bigger, right? So for example, here, NBA, right? If you have this amount of, or like a logo, then it doesn't make sense to curve it, right? We could keep it straight, right? So like here, they kept it straight and it looks sharp. So I would say if you have 1, 2, 3 letters, then don't worry about curving it. You could probably keep it straight. Okay. But once you kind of start getting towards this side of the ends, now you want to start bending your text, right? But something here that's kind of squared up on the top part, just keep it straight. All right. And then I got these samples here. So this one here, script letters. So we use the different temp, or we use the snapback, which is a little different, but you could probably still use the template with a quick adjustment, okay, on the sides. All right. I actually like this script, this font here. All right. Might be one that I'm going to start using here, especially for websites since everything is kind of together. All right. And then my third sample that I showed you, right? And then we're always looking out for critical points, okay, or maximum minimums, right? This is as basic. This is what we do here, right? If somebody's requesting names or anything, okay, I like to use block fonts. It's very straightforward, okay. Um, Block fonts are always like my preferred one. So when we're talking about, especially hats has a lot of critical points and areas. So here, the one I had mentioned was, right, this is our kind of maximum space. We don't want to start hitting this part of our hat. All right. So the plan that I'm gonna do for this episode. Okay, let me go big screen. All right. So my plan. Okay, I'm gonna start for the member program. Okay, I'll start it out with this program here. I'm gonna put the template and I'm gonna put the template file, the picture, and the digitizing template. Okay, on the membership, on the YouTube membership program. All right. So once again, for those who are just joining, okay, we do have a membership program where I'm gonna start putting all our templates, our PDFs, okay, all of our cheat sheets. Easily, I'm gonna put it on our YouTube member page. Okay. Um, Now, for those who are not members, all right, we're still going to be putting the free information, weekly information, videos are still being replayed. This is just an extra stuff on top of what we already put out, all right? So it's just like icing on the cake, okay? But I do have a lot of information, especially all that information we gathered this year. I'm going to put it all into PDFs, into templates, so it can be easily accessible, and you could kind of print them out for your and all of your training information that you have. All right. All right. So let me go through questions one last time. All right. All right, Jeanette. Wow, that was brave. I would have been nervous to be that close. All right. Yes, we were pretty close on that, but like I said, we we um we traced it 4 times, right? It's not like I just went in blindly. Okay. I definitely and I adjusted it because I got too close. On one, I was one where I was kind of like kissing the hoop, right? It was barely tapping it, and I just brought it up. So you adjust it, and then that final trace, you bring down that needle point all the way down, so you can get a clear uh, trace. All right. Mm, all right, all right. Looks like we're good to go. All right. Appreciate that, TMG. All right. New members. All right. I'm excited about this member program. All right. I got some good information to put out there. All right. Cynthia, appreciate that. All right, JC, Melco active feed system with the laser alignment, 1500 stitches, and they have smaller arm where you could. All right, all right, all right, all right. I mean, all right. There's a lot of good machines, right? You got ZSKs, you got your Tajimas, you got your Rolls Royce of embroider machines, right? It's all a matter of how much do you want to spend. Okay, how much money do you have? Okay, if you're looking into buying an embroider machine, right? How much money do you have? If money's not a problem, and if you can get a hold of some of these machines, right? Because right now you're trying to get some of these top-notch machines. It's kind of hard right now because their product is not available as easy as it used to be. Okay, so it's all a matter. All right, and then your gut's gonna tell you which machine to buy. All right, your gut's gonna tell you what machine to buy. All right, so if you are gonna choose one, all right, go with your gut. Uh, and then TMG. So right now, okay, right now the membership page has just been created. So give me some time to kind of put some stuff in this week. All right, but there's definitely some stuff coming in right now. All right, appreciate that. All right, that being said, everybody have a happy Saturday. All right, next week I'm excited about next week's. I already know. All right, I already came up with next week's Saturday morning show. All right, which I am super super pumped about. All right. So if you love embroidery as much as I love embroidery, which I know we all do, all right, you definitely want to set your reminder for next week. Okay. You definitely want to be here for next week because it's gonna be a good one. All right. So with that being said, see everybody, see you all next week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.